So excited. Um, Reagan's going to record this. I am so excited to have my friend Hayden Sears on the call with us tonight. And Hayden is a QNMD out in California. She is somebody that I just became friends with at a Juice Plus conference. I'm pretty sure on a dance floor. Hayden has some pretty savage dance moves. So if you know her well, that is like, I would say, let's see, she loves her kids, and then she loves her husband, and then she loves dancing. So
Jesus is in there too. Somewhere.
Yeah, right. So she's been with Juice Plus. How long, Hayden?
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years. And forgive me, I did not print out your bio. She's got some amazing.
And my story kind of goes through all that, so it's fine.
Right. She's going to share her story tonight. If you have some questions, please don't hesitate to chat. We just want to have a conversation tonight that empowers us and inspires all of us. And it's so great to have Hayden, a couple people from her team here to join us. This Juice Plus community just continues to be the most outstanding group of people. So that being said, Hayden, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are today, and then go back 20 years and tell us.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go back 20 years. So I'm in my mid 40s, and I have 3 kids. They're now 11, 14, and 18. I live in Southern California. Actually, I live about 30 minutes from Anaheim, which is where our Juice Plus conference is going to be in the spring, right by Disneyland. So everybody make plans. I just got remarried last summer, so I'm a newlywed, which is super fun. And Juice Plus has been a part of my life for over 20 years, and I've been sharing Juice Plus. I've been a partner with Juice Plus for about 20 years. So I'm like I said, I'm in my mid 40s. I feel like I'm in the healthiest time of my life, physically and even relationally, even after this really hard year. So let me go back and kind of start from the beginning. And and actually, I know you guys probably know my dad, Dr. Bill Sears, who's amazing. But actually, all of this started with my mom. She was the original health nut. She was into things like kale and soy and tofu, far beyond it was popular, like way back when. And she's fed all of us, I'm one of 8 kids. She fed all of us just really healthy, great food. And then I went off to college, starting eating in the cafeteria and eating more of the typical college life food and living that lifestyle. And it didn't take my body long to react to that. I'll make a long story short, because this was a big deal in my life. I started experiencing really hard symptoms, visited specialists, and I was diagnosed with something called polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS. It's actually very common. A lot of people don't catch it until a little bit later in life, when they're probably trying to have kids or something like that, because it's really hard to have children when you have that, and there's a lot of health issues that go along with it. It's something I was born with, but we never knew, because living such a healthy lifestyle with healthy food, it never expressed itself. It's just stayed dormant inside my genes. Like a lot of us have things inside our genes that have not expressed itself, because for one reason or another. So I'll kind of get back to that later. But I kind of had this aha moment at the age of 19, when my doctor looked at me in the eye and he said, "Hayden, if your mom had not fed you that way growing up, you would be very sick by now. Like, you would be experiencing some really hard things." And that really spoke to me, because my mom didn't do that because she knew I had something. She had no idea. She fed us that way because somebody taught her the importance of it, and she had an open heart to receive it. So really, that's why I do what I do in a nutshell, is because somebody took the time to share that with my mom, and it has set the foundation for our family's health and for our kids' health and for future generations, because my mom chose to humble herself and open her heart and really receive, and then put it into action. And if you've ever fed little kids, in a family, it's hard. It takes a lot of intentionality to feed children healthy, whole, real, great, real food. So I give my mom a ton of props.
Yeah,
So
no small feat, because you may or may not know Hayden comes from a family of 8 kids.
yeah.
So that is a big tribe to feed.
Yes.
I
So
love that.
luckily I was working with a doctor who understood the connection with food and health. And I did have to go on some medication. And he did say, you're going to probably have to be on this for your whole life. And into my head, I'm like, no, I'm not. We'll work it out. I got Dr. Sears on it. He'll figure it out. Because, if you're told you're going to have to be on medication for the rest of your life at age 19, that's really hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. So, but luckily around that same time, my parents found Juice Plus. And it was actually when my dad was going through colon cancer. And it kind of, with my thing and with my dad's thing, it was kind of a new thing that sprung into my family. And as my dad was going through this cancer, he was in his 50s, colon cancer, and he still had babies, he still had young children. And so during his recovery, he was just poured over research and journals and articles and books. And he had, luckily, because he's pretty amazing, he had access to just the top minds in health and nutrition and disease prevention. And so what he gleaned over several years, and actually, ever since for the past 35 years, would become the basis for the next set of, I think, 15 or 20 books that he's written since then on health, nutrition, prevention, healthy aging, anti-inflammatory, just everything. And it started with something devastating that happened to him, with something really hard he saw his daughter having to go through. Because he and I remember this conversation forever. I mean, this was over like 25 years ago and he said, Hayden, I know this is really devastating to you. Oh, because I had to cut out sugar and carbs. I had to exercise every day, no alcohol, caffeine. And I was in college, so it's really hard. And so he's like, Hayden, you have to live and eat the way everybody should. It's just, you have a reason, you have an extra reason, you have this diagnosis to say, okay, this is why I'm doing this. And not everybody has that until they, right? And so kind of our hope is that we reach people and our family, big old reason, that cancer, that diabetes, that the really hard diagnosis, but we don't always. And so, like I said, we found Juice Plus around that time. And for the next 3 years, I took it just religiously. And so did my dad. We were doing this together. And I got married and I got pregnant like within a couple years, not trying or anything, which should have been really hard for me. Really, really hard. And it wasn't. And so when I got pregnant, I stopped my medication and I have not had a single symptom since. And that's pretty extraordinary. And I know why. I know why. I mean, I've had 30 varieties of fruits, vegetables, and berries flowing through my body, infiltrating my blood and every single cell and organ in my body for over 20 years. That is healing. That is like an amazing foundation. It's literally gone into my cells, into my DNA, and healed it and shifted it. So when I then passed on my DNA to my children, it is better. It is repaired because of these amazing phytonutrients in produce that my body knows exactly what to do with. My body needed healing and help and support in certain areas, and my body knew where to use it. My dad needed healing and growth and repair in certain areas, and that produce from Juice Plus knew exactly what to do in his body. So
I love that. Let me interrupt you really quick. Please. I want to make sure you all get what she just said. Yeah. So you are saying that we have an opportunity through how we feed the next generation to make the generations that come after that stronger.
Yes.
It's a really powerful legacy piece. And which kind of gets me into my next question. And Hayden and I were texting about this. Your whole family kind of stumbled into this through your health crisis, your dad's, your mom being just the special lady that she is and having an open heart and juggling, raising this beautiful family and all of that. But I have a question for you because I think sometimes when you grow up in a family business, if you will, and especially because you're a free spirit, Hayden, did you ever go through a thing where you're like, I don't want to do this. That's for everybody else in my family, but I'm going to go,
Yeah.
go be a professional dance choreographer or something like that. Did that ever occur to you?
For sure. Yeah, because my first career was in the performing arts. So my 3 older brothers are doctors, and then there's me. God's like, you know what? Your family needs some entertainment. Your family needs some science, some poetry. So 100%. I really did. And I really did. And, after I had taken Juice Plus for a couple years, I saw my dad like it so much that he partnered with the company. Now I have to preface this. My dad is so skeptical about things like pills, and because he's from the, he's a doctor, so he knows what pharmaceuticals do, all these things, and he knows how careful you have to be. So he put Juice Plus through the ringer. He visited the facilities, he talked to the growers, he talked to the people who formulate it, he went to the company. He had to research it. My mom was like, fruits and vegetables in a capsule, done, right? Like, that's easy button. My dad's like, nope, I got to research this. So for about 2 years, even though he started taking it, he had to research it because he saw what it did in his own body and in, his family's, but he wanted to start recommending it and getting a lot bigger with it, but he had to research it. So that really spoke to me because I know how picky he is, and he doesn't take anything unless he really is confident in it, let alone giving it to his children. And from his doctor perspective, colon cancer. So his dad died of colon cancer. My mom's mom died of colon cancer. So we have it on both sides. So it would genetically appear that us Sears children are doomed. But like the top of my dad's concern, it wasn't even to heal himself, although he wanted to. He wanted to find a way where his 8 children would never have to experience the devastation of cancer, ever. And what he found was especially things like colon cancer, and about 70 to 80% of disease can be eliminated or greatly reduced by lifestyle and how you eat. Now I have to preface that because I don't want to sound judgy. People are going to still get sick. We're still going to get diseases. So things are going to come out in our genetics, but we can help them. We can help diminish them. And you know what? We never know the cancer we don't get. We never know the little things we don't get. But that's the beauty of prevention. And so, thank God to my dad, because this was about 25 years ago, before, kind of before we knew just how amazing produce was for us. So yes, getting back to your question, once we saw how amazing it was, and my dad started partnering with the company and a couple other of my family members, I was kind of at this precipice myself because, I had a baby, and I was like, I all of a sudden didn't really love the performer's life, and it didn't provide me a lot of options, let alone income. So I really kind of took a hard look at my life, and I was like, but I'm not a doctor. Like, why would I? That's for them to recommend, And so it kind of took me a little while to open my mind, but having gone through my experience and then experiencing what Juice Plus did for me and how quickly, oh my gosh, you guys, quickly turned my health around. I mean, a couple years for somebody who was experiencing what I had is not a long time to get pregnant like that. So I kind of had this shift in my head that I couldn't not share it. And so I was talking to people about it because I was around a lot of people that were having babies or, kind of not eating enough produce, a lot of kind of I was in my young 20s. So performers, they don't eat well, and their body is their instrument. And so they had to. So I was talking about it, and people were starting to take it. And I was just like, you know what? I think there's something to this. And so I partnered with a company. I was, I think, 25 years old. But yes, it definitely took a huge shift because I always thought, okay, the health stuff, the doctor stuff, that's over here, and I'm doing something different. But once I opened my heart and I saw the value of it, I was all in.
Well, I love that about your story, because I think that you bring up something that's really important. Sometimes people get involved with this and they say to things in their own heads, they tell themselves stories like, well, I can't do this very well because I'm not an expert like so and so. I'm not this, I'm not that. And I look at someone like you, and again, in our mission, we have the opportunity to really be a symphony of people, just like Juice Plus is the symphony of produce in our bodies. Of like, this is for everyone. You don't have to be the expert. You don't have to be the sciencey person. You can be the creative, person, and it makes sense. And you have the ability to share it with people in the performing arts, which I love what you said. They're like an athlete. Their body is their instrument. And, for all of us, for every single person we talk to, you only get one body. You only get one shot at this. And that's why Juice Plus is of such value, because it's giving our bodies life-giving nutrition that none of us are going to be able to eat. So, that being said, I want to have you share, Hayden, how this has really blessed you over the years, because I know you and I are about the same age. You get to your mid-40s, and we've seen about half of life, right? And it's had a lot of twists and turns and a lot of change. So you've stuck with it. I've stuck with it. It's gone with us on this road. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So growing up, my dad would always say, my dad, he's amazing. He really is amazing as he seems. I gotta say, really is. I totally scored. He would say, do something you love, like for a career, do something you love and be your own boss. And because he did that and he loves his life. And so I had this programming inside, do something you love and be your own boss. So, after a couple years of partnering with the Juice Plus company, I reached a level of where I was bringing enough income in to be able to stay at home with my babies. It wasn't like this huge extravagant lifestyle, but it was enough. It was what I needed. My husband at the time was a musician. So, my income was the steady. His ebbed and flowed and mine was the steady. But that's what we needed at the time. It worked. It's what we needed. And I worked part-time, so I was able to have a very flexible lifestyle and be with my kiddos. I got to homeschool for 10 years and kind of have that wonderful time with my kids. And I do have to say, so, the Juice Plus business followed me through my life, but the Juice Plus, kind of at the same time, the products followed me through my life and kind of did something different as time went on. So I want to kind of go back to my pregnancy a little, because that's where the Juice Plus Complete really shined for me. I had it before, but this is where it was like shined. Going through pregnancy, it's hard to eat a lot and get all the nutrients you need, because Juice Plus capsules is the micronutrients, but it's not the calories. And I needed good, healthy calories. So that's when I started doing a smoothie every single day. And that was, my oldest is 18. So it was 18 years ago. And I do one 5 times a week now. But it reset something in my body. So and when like I said, when I came out of pregnancy, I never went back on medication and never had any symptoms. And so I think that kind of having that nutrients, not only in the Juice Plus, but the smoothies really, really helped solidify that. And at the same time, as I was sharing, the smoothie thing, that was a big part of what people wanted. They wanted that healthy calories, that healthy meal or snack to partner with it. So then, and when my kids were little, it became a huge part of their food as well. And then kind of going on, unfortunately, my mid 30s, a divorce came into my life. It was kind of out of the blue. It was definitely not something I expected. My income level was still great. It was enough to support my family when I went down to kind of a one income. A lot of people never really expect something like divorce or disaster or death. There's a lot of things that can come into your life all of a sudden. And I'm a very optimistic person, so I just kind of don't expect those things to happen, but it did. And thank God I kind of had listened to my dad, and unbeknownst to me, I was prepared. I didn't really understand it until now, because going through that divorce, I did not have to go out and find a full-time job. Because that's really when my kids needed me the most. That's when I needed me the most. I got to continue on, and not just the income, but the partnerships with my upline and my team I mean, they came around alongside me, and on days where I couldn't cope, or months where I couldn't cope or just really show up barely at all, my income level didn't drop at all. In fact, it grew a bit. I mean, and who does that? Who doesn't show up for work for a couple months except calling in now and then, and their income level grows? So that was fantastic. And of course, the friendship and emotional support was so important during that time. Um, and my income level, like I said, it did grow, so I was able to send my kids to private school. I decided I was done homeschooling. That season was great, but it had passed, and so I got to send my kids to private school, which felt so good to me, that I was able to provide that. And I think because I was a single mom, that felt like extra good, that I was able to do that. So, and then fast forward a few more years. Now I'm in my mid 40s, and my kids are older. They're, well, like 11. So I'm not like that super busy stay-at-home mom running around after toddlers. And now I get to kind of dream about what my future looks like, knowing that I have this foundational income, and I will continue to grow that and invest in that. But because I have that income, I can also explore some of these other things I've been wanting to do in my life. Like, I've been able to do a ton of writing the last couple of years. I wrote a couple books, and like Ellen said, I got back into dancing, and I've even been doing some kind of competing in that area. And I can do that because I have this income foundation. And I think back to that 25-year-old who was like, oh, I kind of want to do this. There's something there. And I'm like, I just want to hug her and say, thank you so much. I just had no idea that it was going to turn into this. And it's something I will forever do. I mean, it will forever be a part of my life. And, in that past 20 years, my income levels never dropped. I mean, it ebbs and flows a tiny bit here and there, but when people get so excited, when you see people get so excited, it's because it's greatly impacted their life, like as it is mine. And what's really cool about it is that, I keep this business, and I can pass it on to my kids. And that's one thing my dad is so excited about. And one of the reasons he really invested a lot of time and effort into sharing Juice Plus, first and foremost, because it's amazing and it works, and he has that moral obligation to share it. But also, this is something he can pass on to his children. And, like my brothers get the medical practice, but like me, an artist, my other siblings, that aren't doctors, this is something we can inherit and continue to do. And everything he's built, that income and that structure and that business, stays. We get to continue it. So it's this beautiful legacy that we get to join. We got to join in that, but then we get to continue it long after his physical presence isn't here. And that's something that makes me feel good about for my future, and then also for my kids' future.
I love so many things that you share tonight. And I am going to go back and hug the 31-year-old version of myself who said yes to this, because I think that's a really, we started off the call kind of talking about giving ourselves grace in COVID times. And I think let's all thank ourselves and pat ourselves on the back for being here. And let's go offer that gift to someone else. I would love to, we're at the end of our time. However, I'd love to open it up for any questions anybody wants to ask Hayden. And as you can see, because our team knows my story very well, we're like Juice Plus soulmates, Hayden. We have so much in common, and it's just an amazing thing. And I think, your dad is always, he's like America's pediatrician, but now I'm like, he's like America's dad too, with what you've shared and the wisdom that he's been able to pass on to you. And, even encouraging on your own health journey, because so many of us are doing that with our own families, our own customers. So anybody want to unmute and share a question or a comment before we wrap?
It's Reagan, and I'm sorry I am not on camera tonight, Hayden, but will you share, I know you wrote an amazing book. Will you share more about your book?
Sure. Well, I'm very blessed to kind of partner in 3 different books. One is the Healthy Brain book, which was written by my dad and his friend, Dr. Vince Fortnace. And I just got to be a contributing author. So, because they're the amazing people that wrote all the stuff. And I just got to add my kind of my mom and my woman health stuff into it. So it's very well-rounded. And then I wrote with my mom. It's called the Healthy Pregnancy Journal. It's a guided journal. It's kind of like a book with some journaling stuff, kind of mentoring new moms through a pregnancy, a healthy pregnancy, very holistically, mind, body, and spirit. It's kind of a concept of, if you had Martha Sears kind of in your ear throughout your pregnancy, like mentoring you through your pregnancy, and then kind of like me as a big sister, we kind of wanted to have that feel and offer that to moms, especially ones who don't get a ton of support or have many hands-on family members. And then we did a sequel to that called the Healthy Motherhood Journal, which is the same, mentoring moms through that first year or so of motherhood and starting the eating with the kiddos and all that.
That's so great. Well, I think I know this, Hayden, Reagan, I know you know this, that Dr. Bill and Martha were in my ears as I was having my oldest, who's now 15, Max. And Dr. Sears' endorsement was really what caused me to kind of just jump in with Juice Plus, because I kind of started out saying, okay, is this like being the Mary Kay lady with veggie capsules? And just seeing the science and the doctors behind it, Dr. Bill being one, and of course the late Dr. Richard Du Bois, was amazing for me. And as you have seen here tonight, the next generation has taken the torch, so to speak, and our job is to go out and bring those team members in that are the next generation and start raising up in this. Our company has been through massive change, our world has been through massive change, and yet I still feel that we have so much of what it takes, and we are so blessed. So I hope that you'll share this recording with someone that you would love to have on your team, someone that you would love to maybe break that outer shell and get them to listen about Juice Plus, because sometimes we have some tough nuts to crack out there. One last call. Any questions before we wrap up? All right, guys, let's
thank you so much, Hayden.
Hayden, a huge thank you, and we love you out there in California. And will we see you in St. Louis?
No, actually not. We were gonna, but it fell through, but for sure in Anaheim.
Yeah. No, I will see you in Anaheim, and we're going dancing. So
yes, for sure. That's my area. I know all the places.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for such a great call tonight. Let's have an awesome week.
Thank you, Hayden. Thanks,
Thank
Ellen.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Reagan.
Ellen.
Amazing. Have a great night.
Yep. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Night.